everybody else has been talking about, the need to go to college and get people in the STEM industries, science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, for years. And President Trump's election really spoke to the fact that we have been ignoring this whole segment of the need for people to go into skilled trades and apprenticeship programs and skilled non-college degree professions. And if you look at the population of the United States of America, less than 50% of the, 50% of the country has a high school diploma or less. It's probably even higher than that. I don't have the actual number right now. And if you look at the jobs in America, there's 105 million full-time jobs in America. Of those 105 million full-time jobs, 59 million people make less than $50,000 a year. 86 million of the 105 million, 86 million make less than $75,000 a year. We've got to figure out in our country, as part of our corporate tax reform, our income tax simplification, our regulatory reform, our infrastructure, everything we're doing, how are we going to create 5 million new $80,000 jobs? Because we don't need, corporations don't need help, and wealthy individuals don't need more take-home pay, and we don't need this. What we need is we need to create more jobs in America where people make a decent living. So to do that, we've got to look at corporate tax reform and other things, but we need to figure out how to create more jobs that pay well. And my meeting with the industry people and their need for computer machinists, my meeting with welders, who were three young guys. One guy was 22, another one was, they're all men, I'm sorry to say. One was 22, one was 29, one was 32 years old. They were almost, sheepish about the fact that, I said, why did you become a welder? Well, I didn't do well in school. They were almost embarrassed about how they didn't like school. But in reality, the 22-year-old made $99,000 the previous year. The 29-year-old made $120,000, and the 32-year-old made $140,000. And they get up at 4:30 in the morning and drive an hour and a half to work, and they work hard, they take every job, but they've got a skill that is very much in demand. So we've got to try and get rid of the stigma of BOCES. When I went to school, BOCES was like, you don't go to BOCES unless there's something wrong with you. So we've got to figure out how to make BOCES and other trade schools and union apprenticeship programs and the things we're going to do more attractive, and Gary has another take on that as well, and how to make these jobs more attractive to people, while at the same time making sure we have a pipeline of employees for the positions that you need to have filled. So let me ask Gary Bixhorn from Suffolk Post.
Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge and compliment Tom for pulling this group together. I think when our elected officials realize the significant role they can play in this kind of initiative, it's really it's refreshing. I was involved with BOCES with Eastern Suffolk BOCES for 22 years, and generally, anytime we were summoned to a meeting to get involved in one of these types of discussions about establishing a pipeline between education and industry, it was a short-lived initiative, and I'm certain with the resources that the Congressman is putting behind this and the interest he's shown in it, I think this really has a chance for being successful, because there really are resources on the education side and there's opportunity on the business side, and I think we have to work to match those two things up. One of the things that's interesting about the pipeline, and I know in reading Tom's article, and I've heard it from people in industry before, there's this backlog of available jobs, good paying jobs, and trying to find people with the skills to fill those jobs is a challenge. One of the difficulties that the education side has, and I think you can appreciate this, is recruiting individuals to come into the pipeline. And one of the challenges we have at BOCES especially, or working with younger students, is trying to attract, because you're talking about kids in 10th, 11th, 12th grades where you're asking to make career decisions. And what is attractive to those kids isn't necessarily the thought of being able to have a $60,000 a year job a couple years after graduating from high school. What's attractive to those kids is emulating what they see on television in terms of the celebrity chefs, or sometimes the automotive people, and seeing those jobs that have evolved into very sexy career opportunities. So we have to figure out a way to influence kids, to let them know that being a computer machinist is something that is attractive for a variety of reasons, and it's leading to career opportunities. It's a skill you can learn, it's a skill you can take with you, and it's a skill that's marketable and is ultimately going to lead to an interesting life. So kids are really looking for that. The other challenge we have, and I think all of you, a lot of people share Tom's impression of BOCES, and it's one of the things we were challenged with in the 20 years that I worked there, is overcoming that perception that BOCES is for those kids. It's for the kids that don't fit into the regular school experience. And to a certain extent, it's true. BOCES has tailored itself to recruiting kids who don't fit into the regular school experience. And it's a different way of learning. Frankly, I think every child should experience a career education program before they finish their 13 years of school. I think everybody should learn a skill. It's a completely different way of learning. And if you're a drop-dead academic student, there's something good about going into a classroom and learning how to do something with your hands, regardless of where your future is going to take you. But we do have a perception on the part of parents, they don't want their kids involved in CTE. Last night, career and technical education. Last night I heard the president of the National School Boards Association address a group of local school board members, and he kind of promoted the perception that he said, we're not all going to college. There is a place for CTE. Well, CTE and college are not mutually exclusive. A lot of the kids that finish our programs, in fact, about 80% go on to 2 or 4 year schools. About half of that 80% go to 4-year schools. They don't all go immediately, but eventually they do go. So it's really a false paradigm, that idea that you're either going to go into career or you're going to go for higher education. So I don't want to paint it as an impossible picture. I think there's a lot of obstacles to getting this thing moving forward, but I do think that between the BOCES and the institutions of higher education on Long Island, I think there's articulation agreements that can be worked out between those groups and with the industry to set up that pipeline, to have an effect to bring some of your people into the schools to help teach the skills that you're going to need from future employers. I think if you offer tuition assistance to new employees, it's a way to attract kids in if they know that they're going to be able to take a job, and eventually that job is going to help pay for higher education. That's a big incentive for bringing kids in. BOCES can set up programs with school districts that are local, where your people can work with BOCES instructors and come into a targeted school district and put together a program with teaching the skills that are specific to your industry. There's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of new thinking, there's a lot of different ways of approaching this, and I know that the folks on the education side are very interested in pursuing this, and I know there's a lot of good ideas. I don't want to take up a lot of their time with introductory comments, but I really think there's a good reason to feel optimistic. I think this is the right forum to get things moving forward, and I really have to thank Congressman Suozzi for moving forward with this. For someone that was in education and career and technical education for 22 years, to walk into the meeting in his office and have him start lecturing me on career and technical education, I said, this is good. This is a real change. This is someone who gets it. So I think we're all here for the right reasons, and I have to thank him again for bringing us together. And I'm certain that good things are going to come out of this, and anything the Suffolk County School Superintendents Association can do to help push this initiative further, we're going to be full partners. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so now This is, Mike, I have to be honest, I wish there were more industry people here today. I'm very happy that you guys are here. But it may have been our fault that we didn't start inviting people from the industry side until late in the game. I'm gonna ask you, Pat, to say something in a few minutes also. Who in the industry, from the industry folks, are having a hard time finding people filling positions? Okay, so respond to, what do we need to do to, I mean, look at, these people are all devoted to creating jobs, to creating employees, training employees to fill the jobs you're looking for. That's what their job is. That's what they've got government grants, they've got school money, they've got people, they're public servants, they want to do this right. We've got to figure out how to connect what they're doing in their world directly to what your needs are, and then put the two together. And we have to take into account what Gary was just talking about, which is that kids don't necessarily see this as being something attractive. Okay, it's not on TV. It's not interesting from their perspective. If you're a kid who wants to do something technical, you're like, I want to go to Apple. I want to go to Google. How many people in their family have had some kid in their family say, I'm going to go study business administration or marketing or communications? Okay, I mean,